Hello and welcome everyone to it's June um, Agile Boston event, rescheduled for May. And we're super excited to have Konrad Pogorzala here, all the way from Berlin, Germany, who's graciously accepted our invitation to present. Konrad is a accredited coach, agile trainer, and flight levels coach. And Konrad today is going to be talking about really a case study of a company that is working with in the different uh, obstacles that they have in crisis that they had that along their journey from being a waterfall company to a much more successful business agility company using flight levels. So we're super excited to have Konrad here, and Konrad, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for the connection. Also, I'm working since few years with Daniel Mezik. You know him for sure. Also part of your community on a very big Japanese customer. So enjoying this, and he was like, "Yeah, let's go to Agile Boston." So I was like, "Why not?" And then Joe, we met and prepared the talk. The talk today, which I would like to share with you, is about the longer journey, about 7 years with one company. So it's not like a one hit, do something and it's working fine. It's about what can you expect on a longer engagement with companies. So this will be something about it. But the question in beginning is to the audience, because first time I'm in Agile Boston. Who are you? Like, which background are you having? Which roles do you have? Maybe we can use some chat at the moment. Please share. Are you like a agile leader, or are you project manager, or are you just impediment solver or CEO? Or I would like to know a little bit about you, some of you. Business agility consultant, Dan, thank you for this. Okay. Agile product coach, agile cross, scrum master, agile coach. Oh, okay, good. So I'm also gonna, the talk is I'm loving. I'm also an agile coach, agile
Yeah,
practitioner,
sure. Agile.
scrum master, coach. Okay, got you. So the majority is more agile coaches. So good, good, good. I will give you the background from agile coaching perspective. Scrum master, impediment remover. Yes, got it. Yes.
I love it, Galina.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for this. Thank you for showing this. I didn't prepare a presentation, but I'm a big fan of Miro, which is an electronic board. For sure, some of you know it. I will be sharing a screen. So this is basically me. And I also, unfortunately, today he couldn't join Dirk, which is the CEO of this company. The company is called Quantum. I'm gonna come to this in a minute. Sometimes I'm speaking with him because the agile coaching perspective on one side and seeing the inside CEO perspective give. Oh, Dan, hello, nice to see you again.
How are you? Nice to see you. I just want you to know I'm over here. I'm silently observing.
Yes, great, great. I just spoke a little bit that we work together on the crazy Japanese. Okay, coming back. Coming back to the talk. So basically, we started 2018 with this company, and we went to three major crises. Together with Dirk, he still is, in my view, about 15, 20 years experiencing agility, the best developed agile leader I ever met. He really invest into, he really believe, he really went, educate himself, support everything. I'm gonna show you some pictures how he was doing during the journey in a minute. So the whole journey is about the few crises. But before, one question to you, because I'm gonna be speaking about business agility. What does business agility means to you? Like if give me some brief a few answers. What does business agility in the chat? Agile is one thing, working with one team is good, but business agility is broader. Can I see the chat somehow? Joe, I will need your support somehow. I'm sharing the screen. Here's the chat. Chat here. Got it.
What can I help you with?
Yeah, with the chat. So what are the answers briefly?
Oh, sure. We have creating resiliency by adapting fast to conditions,
Yeah.
ability to pivot to changing needs quickly, adaptability, being able to quickly adapt to market needs, quickly adapt to market signals, company being willing to inspect and adapt. Another one is his ability to confidently adjust programs to market conditions to still meet objectives, to deliver value and quality rapidly. So a lot of the main theme here is that understanding the market shifts and market signals and being able to pivot or adapt quickly to that.
Yes, thank you. It's exactly this what is happening. If you concentrate only internally on the team and forget about what is happening outside of the company, you will fail. And over here, what we did, we turned the entire, this is a mid-sized company, Quantum, and we turned the company completely agile on all levels. Even the leadership team with all the assistants is also an agile team, as equal or as the finance team and the product team and the IT team. So everybody is equal and everybody looking how we are producing impact and creating outcome for the stakeholders. So thank you for this. Small introduction about flight levels. Also, before we started, to give you some overview. A little bit bigger. So flight level concept is coming from a guy called Klaus Leopold. He's coming from Austria few years ago, and the roots are more from the Kanban community. So, Agile is quite big. Lots of things grow up in the Scrum umbrella. Lots of things grow in the Kanban umbrella. These more roots from the Kanban. Work a lot with David Anderson, and actually spin off a little bit a few years ago and say, okay, actually this concept is good. The flight levels is a thinking model. It's not a framework. It's not a framework which you follow and you just implement like few frameworks we have on the market. It's a thinking model, and the flight level is a metaphor really from flying with the plane. When you are flying very high with the plane, you see the big picture on the air, cities, and or the big picture is visible, but you don't see the details. When you are flying very low with the plane, you see lots of details on the earth, but you don't see the big picture. So this is actually the metaphor coming from. And he described the three different levels. So first level on the bottom, this where you see lots of details, but not the big picture, is a level of so-called operational level, where agile teams are operating. They see everything, they know what they are doing. They usually, when they're using Scrum, they're having like a 2-3 week sprints, 1 week sprints. So they know planning very detailed what is happening at the moment right now. some teams follow Kanban approach, some teams follow something in between. But nowadays, most of the teams on the operating level are using some kind of agile methodologies. This model is enabling do whatever you think is right for you on this level, very detailed level. But in the big mid-sized companies, when multiple agile teams working together, they are dependencies. So they are not working isolated, they are working on something together. So the second flight level is so-called coordinating level. It's a different level of abstraction. So you need different informations which are consolidated and visualized so the people can work and make decisions mid long term for what's going to happen in the next 3 to 6 months, not only for the next 2 weeks. So this is also usually this is not a hierarchical model. So as you see the different colors, so the representation from the teams from the operating level are creating a system of coordinating on the higher level of abstraction to make sure everybody knows what is important for many teams and we are going to the one particular direction. And on the top, we have also the strategic level, where the direction of the company, the strategy is described, is much bigger picture, less details. And the ultimate goal is, of course, that every single member on the team knows what he's doing right now, how he contributes to the team, how his team contributing to a project with larger number of teams, and how this is contributing to the strategic layer. Very
Konrad,
simple.
Konrad,
Yeah.
is it the same people at
Yeah.
different at the flight level, or is it different people get engaged at the different flight levels?
Exactly. These are the same people. So this is not a hierarchy. So there is some CEO strategic layer isolated. They are the same people co-creating all three levels. Only then they can ensure that the right informations are going to the right hands of the people. This is the big change of like this is not like a CEO level, middle management level, and a workers level.
So like the reason I ask is like this looks a lot on paper, it looks a lot like Scrum at scale, where you have a Scrum team that has a scale daily Scrum. That would be flight level one. Then
Yeah.
flight level two would be the scale daily Scrum within the
Yes.
teams. And then flight level three might be the executive EAT or something like that, where they would come together and manage any dependencies or escalations. That's not what you're showing here. I just want to make sure that everyone understands that distinction. Or
Of
is it?
course, they are similarities between this,
Yeah,
but here the main thing is that they are the same people creating it.
right. So it's not like we're injecting executives,
No,
at different levels. Yeah.
exactly. This is the big thinking model here, and basically the theories say that every company have the different flight levels. They need to discover it. Many companies don't know how to communicate strategy, and someone have the strategy on the C level. I was like, dear teams, are you not interested about knowing what is the strategy of your company? Let's get involved. So involvement on the people is here the key part. To approach this, the flight levels are speaking about 5 activities, very simple agile activities. Visualize the situation, create focus, establish agile interactions, measure progress, and improve. And then in the cycles, do it like make sure that the right visualization is creating the right focus, the right people are speaking and making the right decisions at the right time, and they are measuring progress towards the decisions they made, and they are constantly improving. Also about improving, there are 2 ways, especially working with the Japanese, Daniel, as you know, there are 2 ways for improvements. And that's why I'm going to be distinguishing here also in the beginning. There is the very known way of Kaizen, the continuous improvement. I think everybody here as Agile coach know Kaizen approach, continuously small improvements constantly,
Mhm.
which is good. Sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes there is another approach for improvement called Kaikaku. Maybe some of you know. Kaikaku is about radical change. It's about change the system. And from time to, it's very risky, so you cannot do change the system very often. But changing the system radical is from time to time needed. And exactly here in this talk is about the key part of the Kaikaku approach. Uh, Okay, I'm going to come to the questions also about the participation of the people in few minutes. Kaikaku approach is going to be here highlighted more because with the company we went to the crises, three main crises in the last 7 years, and always we use the crisis to do radical change of the system. And then continue for small improvement Kaizen. Okay, so this is a small introduction. Let's go a little bit less theory, more practical. The company Quantum is a mid-sized company working in the energy sector. Their customers are energy providers in the west part of Germany. They are basically providing centralized services like a procurement portfolio, portfolio optimization, forecasting, like buying energy, buying gas, electricity, central, and then making sure they are sending them to the local energy providers in West Germany. So this is what they do and what their customers are. What they usually see themselves as a small, mid-sized company, like seeing themselves as a boat, small sailboat moving fast on the sea of energy providers, which is a huge market, but they are like a small, very energized, very agile company. They are putting agility into the core values, how they do business and how they interact with the stakeholders and interact on the market, which is very dynamic. Energy market, as you know, nowadays is a bit crazy based on the global situation. We're gonna come to this.
Konrad, just one question that was put over chat.
Yeah.
It kind of went to the same thing I was asking. There's a feeling that it can't be all the same people at the level 2 and level 3 flight levels. And a follow-up question there is, do the C levels want to be involved in the level 3, the highest flight level?
Yes, the CEO is mostly acting on the level 3, on the strategic layer. And this is one of the advantage of the system. The Dirk, which is missing here today, he is at the moment not operating on the operational level only in his leadership team. He is not interacting on the operational level with any other teams. He don't do any micromanagement. He is very much involved, but he is not doing this himself. He have a representation for every operative team in the company on the strategic layer as well. He is, of course, leading it. He's the CEO. He's taking his responsibility as the CEO, being responsible for defining and driving the strategy. But he's not doing this isolated. He have representation from every operative team in the company.
So it's more
Yes.
representation at every level,
Yes.
not necessarily the entire team.
Yes. Yeah. Representation. Of course. No way.
Representation. No, that's a good point because look, I get a lot of pushback. I'm sure a lot of our coaches do. With
Yes. No doubt.
teams saying you've given us too many meetings. We want to go to work.
No.
So okay.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
This is always representation. Also on the coordinating layer, they are not sending the entire team to the coordinating layer.
Right.
Mostly, as you know, the role of the product owners are mostly involved in coordinating, but not only. But also there is also representation of the operative team in the coordinating layer. They are getting together, making decisions, and then transferring decision back to the teams. And then on the other cycles, the representation are going to the strategic level, sitting together with the CEO, the co-CEO, and making decision on the strategic level, defining the strategy, and then bringing it back to operation. So a lot of interactions is happening. The main goal is everybody knows about every layer, and there are different people representing and driving it.
And this is not like a daily event, is it? Or could be, or is it a
No,
weekly event? Is it a how do,
no, no.
how does Quantum do it?
Strategic layer, they are meeting. There is short synchronization, I think, on the monthly basis and a 1 day event on the quarterly basis.
Okay,
That's it. Coordinating layer is monthly. Uh,
monthly.
monthly, I'm gonna come to this why.
Okay.
We had it bi-weekly, weekly, bi-weekly, and we come back to the monthly because the team is already grown up and a lot of asynchronous communication is happening within a month. So there is no need to change the visualization and make decisions. We are basically ensuring once a month that everybody knows about priorities, know what is happening, and nobody is surprised about changes.
Okay.
Sometimes bi-weekly is needed, but more monthly. So there is more synchronized, and of course, operating level there are dailies, and some teams are doing sprints, bi-weekly sprints. Some teams are doing also monthly sprints, depending on the team. The finance team is doing monthly sprints because they need to. They have a monthly cycle of supporting the whole payments
Mhm.
and finance stuff. So it's all up to the team. But yes, less frequent strategic layer, more frequent coordination, and very frequent operative layer.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. Coming back, so we've been energy sector and basically, so starting the journey, 2018, what happened? The company called me and had the first interactions. They were planning the year before a big merger, and this merger fell through. A lot of people was working towards making this merger happen, and because this didn't happen, they needed to let more or less 30% of the workforce free, starting to cutting costs. So they have been really in trouble, and the future for the entire company was at risk, at serious risk. So they were like, okay, we need to do something different because when we continue doing what we are doing, our plans didn't work out. So we started speak about agility. We started with agile trainings, very straightforward. Agile manifesto is always the base for it. Playing, introducing games, and I'm gonna repeat this maybe later. Individuals in interactions over processes and tools. This is how people change, how people communicate, how people visualize and make decisions. We introduced also the flight levels back in the days 2018. And following the practices, we needed to visualize the situation. So this is the CEO and co-CEO. As you see, they have a very serious faces because the company was in a serious crisis. So we sit down in the workshop, visualize the situation, creating a strategy. What can we do about it? What is really important? We define a few experiments. There are a few experiments. I'm not going to go to all of them. I will try to focus for today on the coordinating layer because this is one of the crucial layer, how many teams communicate. So this will be a small excursus I could also do for you for the strategic layer, because also we created the strategic layer, but the coordinating layer. What we find out is the experiment is all written in German, but the explanation here is also in English. So the context is high workload. The company was losing 30% of the people. Imagine everybody was busy and suddenly 1/3 of the people are not there. Too many projects in parallel, no transparency. They had the energy sector is very traditional one. So basically, they was following very waterfallish way of project management. So with project plans, detailed plans. So there was nobody knew actually how many projects are running. On which stage are the project, which project are completed. They were not able to prioritize BDD nodes. So the situation was really challenging. Like they were like, we don't know what is actually happening. So we were like, let's do something about it. And we put a hypothesis for our experiment by establishing a complete transparent portfolio board with all the project initiatives, we will be able to make decisions what is this more valuable to the company, kill unnecessary project, and increase transparency. Very simple hypothesis for the situation and context back in the days. We discussed to visualize end-to-end project phases from the qualification to planning, realization, and which projects are done as well to learn from it. We speak about it, the flight level are speaking so-called flight routes. They can be compared also to the value stream. So there are a few projects focusing on operation, on the customer initiative, on strategic initiatives, or kind of other projects. And we wanted to not only to visualize them, we wanted to have agile interactions. Means we want to have retrospectives. We wanted to have a board walkthrough. We wanted to make decisions. The only visualization is not enough. The interactions is making this happen. We define some success conditions around it. So everybody is going to be there. We can leave a pull system, not a push system. This was very new back in the days. And all the representation from all teams which we are creating are taking part in co-creating this. Failure conditions for us were like we are not able to prioritize as projects. Or only the leadership is taking part in these initiatives. This is also one of the failure conditions we like. When only leadership doing this, we failed. When the project are not moving through the phases, is also failed. When everything is kind of visualized and not moving, failed. And there were no updates or we are losing people, failed. So this was the experiment, help us to focus to what we wanted to do. And we started, of course, the visualization. I'm not gonna go to detail, but usually to start with the Kanban system, on this level we use the Kanban system, we use the system thinking approach to introduce Kanban, systematic way. And these pictures are showing the first visualization. So we agree about so-called canvas, which information our project need to be visualized. There are some phases. First visualization started 2018. And then establishing agile interactions. As you see over here, the system developed to more mature ones. So the policies developed much more. The project have been completed. We are able to kill everything what was not visualized, was not supported. So all the submarine projects suddenly disappear. Everybody, as you see, there is like a lots of fun exercises. So the people were enjoying the transparency. So finally, we're like, we know what's going on. We know who is working. We know what is important. We know how to prioritize it. So we are working to the board back in the days, very intense, like every week. Every week we were in the building the system. It was quite intense.
Konrad, when I look at that picture, is each vertical a separate project, or how are the projects? Are they vertical or horizontal on this board?
The project are going horizontal is going from the idea through planning to realization to done. So basically, this is the end-to-end flow. Vertically, there are different categories. So in the beginning are I think the customer project, there was the operative projects, internal IT projects. So there are some categories of the project, like a value streams kind of thing.
So the horizontals are the value streams, and the verticals are the different states.
Yes, exactly.
Got it. Okay, and there's a comment in chat.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it. Interesting that this worked with a project model, not a product model. Did teams disband when a project ended? Was the question. I've worked in the U.S. energy sector, which is cool, and it is also project-based largely due to regulatory practices and the financial and timeline requirements related to that. I'd like to understand more about this project aspect.
Of course, there everything what they wanted to do, we try to build in kind of a chunks of work when we call project. Or not necessarily always they were called projects. Sometimes we use the word initiative or change the words about it was about bucket of things which we think bring value to someone.
But they
And
weren't
we are able to
necessarily
manage.
products.
Hmm?
They weren't necessarily that bucket of things. They weren't necessarily products.
Non-necessary products, not
Okay,
necessary.
I see.
Sometimes some of the chunks were products because they were also offering as a product more services. Because they are basically offering services mostly. This is their product, services to these energy providers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They don't have a product itself which they are selling. Yes, they are providing more services.
And when that service was delivered, did the teams that worked on it disband, or did they stay
No,
together for that service and
no.
continue use?
Usually, different swim lines were supported by one major team with some dependencies to the other. So that's why the coordination between was needed.
Okay.
But mostly swim lines were dedicated to one major team who are driving it. At least one, sometimes two.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Thank you for that question, Lauren.
Thank you. Thank you. Joe, very good one. I'm not putting too much attention on the chat, so when there is something coming, please jump in as you do. Also, what is crucial to have to develop the system with this Kaizen approach, doing the retrospectives. So on the other side, this is one of the retrospective. As you see, our CEO sitting under the table over here, taking part, the co-CEO sitting, and all the team members are around here. And we are like, what is working? Are we making the right decisions? Are we visualizing the right information? How we want to improve? So normal, regular retrospective to develop the system further. This help us a lot, and we continue educating them with additional topics like complexity model, like Kinefin, like more deeper knowledge about Kanban system, how to do operational view, how to do risk review, how to do service delivery review, and so on so far. So we continue educate the participants about it. And of course, because we visualize everything, after a few months, already in the second year, we have all of the done project, which we could evaluate it. We could have a concrete data. What is working? What value did we creating? Which feedback did we get? What was the time to market? All the data were collected over here and analyze all. This is all done projects from the first year. So regular analyzing and celebration of the success was also key part. So, and this was after 2 years, 2019. The key outcomes was the experimented have been validated positively, means the visualization and the agile interactions help the company to prioritize, make the right decisions, and basically survive. The transparency, visibility was there. The progress motivates people. So we, in the beginning, we have a small groups, and over months, we have more and more interest. So in this bi-weekly sessions, more and more people, they were open. So not only the representation, some other people were joining it to observe what is happening, which kind of decision have been made. And we invite everybody. This was very back in the days. We could have it in the physical room, in the Obeya room. It was great. Documented experiment, this focus was also key part of the success. So company survived, establish the right value, re-establish the right value, re-establish the right focus, and engage with all the people. Great. What happened? Then 2020, as you remember the year for sure, 2020, COVID came. So when we are already running all good, we have a Obeya room in the physical interactions with the people. Suddenly COVID came 2020, and everybody went back home. So what did we happen there? So our face-to-face interactions were not possible. So what we did, I really like the view of so-called agile onion, I don't know if you know this, is basically showing a different layers of agility. The core is the agile mindset. So this is how we do things, the agile mindset. And agile mindsets mean that we live agile values and principles written in the Agile Manifesto. So this is the core. And this is when we leave agile values and principles, means that we are using our agile mindset. What is less needed is tools and processes or practices. So in the COVID time, what we find out, we're gonna continue doing what we are doing. We're gonna living the same values and principles. What we're gonna do, we're gonna change the tools and we're gonna change the practices, which actually every team should constantly do, change the tools and practices. So we switch to Miro boards, switch to electronic tools, continue doing the retrospectives. Sometimes even we did manage to meet in person. So the inspection and adoption, which tools and practices need to be established or re-established, speed up in the sequence. It was really needed. Then our physical boards went immediately within a few days to a Trello board. This was the fastest way. We didn't use any additional big fancy tools. Trello board was good enough. Was because it's not about visualization, it's about the interaction between people. And at the same time, what we face during this phase 2020 and 2021, then the different tools give them some more challenge about measuring progress. So we didn't see everything in one place. Different tooling and the possibility for different adoptions were coming with some new challenges. But all overall, the CEO was really proud that basically with everything what we did before, the whole COVID crisis, that the company managed to switch to the productive mode within days. Switch the practices, introduce new tooling, and were already very committed and very used to the change. So the key outcomes for these 2 years was a strong focus on values and principles. So this was the key part to success. And this was the stability. And people need some stability and continuity. This was helping us. Frequent change of the tools and practices, continuous education, more feedback loops. This is what we dedicate more time for it. And also keep it simple, the measurements. Don't do too many fancy measurements, because with the changing of the tooling, you are losing data. But this crisis, very smooth.
Mm.
Then what happened? 2022, we are coming to the already 4 years in the journey of Agile company. And 2022, and you remember Quantum was in the energy sector. 2022 is the war in the Ukraine started. Follow up with the huge energy crisis. So basically, I don't know how was the feeling in US, but in Europe, suddenly we're like, where to buy gas? We are dependent on the gas from Russia, so heavy. So the whole market completely changed within days. Actually, everybody knew this is going to happen, but somehow there was a big surprise. So another huge chaos from the market hit this company and shifted the whole market, shifted to the very complex, rapidly changing environment, 2022, which basically people are like, okay, we need to survive. We need to do changes on the daily basis. We need to follow the market. We need to find out where to buy gas, what the prices. So this moved the company to even more faster pace of making operative decisions. So we sit down on our flight levels, we visualize all our artifacts, and we're like, okay, our coordinating layer is not really working as we wanted. This is what we created in the COVID crisis. So we sit down on the full day retrospective, and what we did, our learning is, the learning back in the day was too much information. Was difficult to handle it, which slowed down the decision-making process. Was not clear actually which informations are needed, as many of you experience sometimes when you are creating a system. People, for whatever reason, are adding more complexity by itself to the system. It is actually what was happening. Oh, I can add more information, I'm going to add more information, but actually adding information is slowing down the systems. Again, we find out there are too many projects because of the energy crisis. We needed again to do faster decisions, to start to killing projects, and the project were stuck. So we are like, we need to redesign the system from scratch. So we come back to this radical change of the system again because of the market crisis. What we still wanted to have and what was needed is to have a transparent overview about the project, what's going on, to know which information actually are needed to make decisions, which dependencies do we have with the team. This is all stay as really needed to move towards the success of the company. So we redesigned the system. What is also small excursus, also flight levels, highlighting this a lot. Is not about creating a board or artifact. It's about creating a system of people interacting with the artifact. And this is because creating and this was many times, even in this company, we sometimes went to like creating a nice board with all the information. And they was like, people are not using it. It's about people first approach. Put the information to enable agile interaction so the people are making the right decision as fast as possible. And this is the system of interaction of people using the information is here the key part. So we started following it. This was already 2022, 2023, with something which we know, simplification and standardizing the system based on our experience from the past. And with a few months, we find out actually the system again is getting too much complex. And we need to simplify it. So we stop this. We have a different version of the system, different possibility to visualize the information, different cadences. So we're like, okay, no, this is too much information. And also here we have a small team who was dedicated for developing the system. And we're like, actually, we don't want to have a small team because this team was developing the system. And we find out that other teams who didn't co-created it, we start to lose them. So we're like, we need to engage with everybody. So we're gonna be simplifying and align in a team-centric view. So we're creating a new board where every team have a complete freedom to show exactly what they are working, what they are the priorities, and we concentrate on some simple rules in the beginning with about what are you working at the moment? What is the more important? What are the dependencies? What do you need from other teams? So few key questions to ask. And we started to move this in monthly coordination with all together. Of course, the visualization is leaving. There is lots of interaction between some of the teams which are depending on each other, but everybody together once a month, ensuring that everything is running smoothly and there is no information left. And this system is living now for the last 2 years. The teams, there is no central team improving the system. Basically, the teams, they're like, oh, can we change the visualization? And our answer is like, it's up to you. If you are inspired by other teams, if you like what they introduce, do it. We're not going to be doing this for you. So we are giving the responsibility for developing the system to the teams, to the team's representation. How many teams approximately coordination layer. We have here around 10 teams. 10 teams who are coordinating the work between them. I worked before in a larger system with 55 teams, different company, and we also find out that the coordinating layer between the teams have some similar rules about the team members in the active team. Like 5 to 7 is working perfectly, and 5 to 7 teams, up to 10 teams can coordinate themselves very well. More than 10 teams need to be divided in the different buckets. And here is we have somewhere around 10 teams who are coordinating it. So we have a representation of 10 teams still doing the retrospectives. And basically the key lesson, and I'm going to come back to the questions, is so the first experiment failed. We learn, engaged. So the people interactive, the engagement ownership increase when we give the responsibility to the team. So the people-centric approach overperformed string standardization. The system is still alive. The last retrospective was 2 months ago in April. Some small improvements are doing is more Kaizen now. So after the 3 major system change, we are continuously improving it. Okay, some questions in the chat. We still have a few minutes. Have seen this applied where there are hundreds of teams? Yes, I was working, so this is a small company, so that's why the case was much more easier, simpler to understand. I was working also in a company called Siemens. We were in the project with 160 teams, and this project, which I was very close, was 55 teams. We had also a coordinating layer very similar to this. Less history, less changes, but similar view. Similar view. Also started with some kind of visualization, and the learning was don't build system with more than 10 teams. Every time when we build a system where we're like 16, 17 teams to coordinate, it was challenging. So try to cut the product. And there was also the 160 teams were working on one product. This was a automation system for factories, for example, like a Tesla Mega Factory was using the Siemens system for automation, so they was having one product with 160 team working on it, but also this needed to be cut in smaller pieces, and the coordinating layer, more than 10 teams, be careful about. Jeff saves to scale after 5 teams. Depends on your experience.
Yeah, I agree. Laura, how important do you feel the buy-in of the CEO, or I know the answer to this, and top leadership was to the point where they saw themselves as also needing to be agile and also needing the training?
The key to success.
Hmm.
Without Dirk, and then again, I'm going to show the picture. Dirk is here under the table. Without him being there, present in all the retrospectives, in all the meetings, from the beginning, this will not be successful. And his education, his dedication, his explanation, especially as a coach, in the beginning, the first 2 years, 2018, 19, I was intense there every 2 weeks. From 2020, I give them a support, basically like a 1 day a month, not more. So they was basically developing all of this by themselves in the last 5 years. I give them like a safety net. Sometimes I was going to these bigger 1 day events. So basically with 10 days of coaching engagement in the year, I was able to support this with their engagement. So without CEO who is active, understanding, and developing himself towards a agile leader, this will not be successful.
And I just want to piggyback on that, Laura, because something that came out of one of our previous Give Thanks for Scrum events, Jeff had mentioned that the key to success is not only training the executive leaders, but also making them the trainers of the people that report to them. That's how you really drive change. Have you seen that, Konrad, also?
Yes, yes. I was many times in the workshop. You cannot see the difference between me and Derek are interacting with the teams.
Yeah.
So this was the key part because the CEO is there on the daily basis and everybody looking up to him. So he need to be the number one role model about why we are doing this and why this is important to us.
Mhm.
Of course, having success on the way is also motivating to continue doing it. But continuity and engagement there is key enabler. Sometimes there's the CEO is a chief enabler officer. Sometimes some people are, are calling themselves, but it's part of the true here. Yes. Without Dirk, it will be not possible. With changing of the CEO or changing direction, or like, we don't believe this is going somewhere else. But the point is, we were successful. The company grew double digit. They are making, I think, 1.5 billion in revenue. So it's a large amount of money they are dealing with in a very successful way.
There's a question from Chris. Chris, I think you're asking, maybe this is a response to what Lee had mentioned about Scrum at Scale. Do you mean number of
Correct.
teams or number of team members? I think it's number of teams he was mentioning.
Okay.
You
Thank
scale
you.
after 5 teams. Um, but I agree with Conrad. It totally depends on the situation, the teams, and so forth.
Depend on the situation, depend on the context, depend on the experience of people. Sometimes even three teams are not able to, but three teams usually need some more love. I'm calling this give the
Yeah,
people some more love. And some more grow up teams. I saw good system with 10 teams, but most of the system, more than 10 teams are challenging. So the recommendation is scale down. Five to seven is the ideal number. Yes.
sure. So Stephanie asked a question related to that. So how
Hmm?
many people approximately were in the system at Quantum, and how many different coordination levels did you have?
We had really here because a good point. Coming back to the very brief coordination layer. In some complex system, there could be several coordination layers. For example, in this case with Siemens, with 160 teams, with big blocks, we have I think three coordinated layer. So 7 teams, seven to 10 teams, and then basically another layer above the teams before going to the strategic layer. So there is a possibility to then don't have only 3 layers, but expand, for example, to have 2 or 3 coordinating layer depending on the number of teams. Especially in a large corporation, you will need something like this, like a groups of, let's stay with the ideal number of 5 to 7, 5 to 7 teams, 5 to 7 teams, 5 to 7 teams. Each of this system have a coordinating layer, and above this 3 groups is another coordinating layer to make sure that they are the representative from them are also coordinating before going to the strategy. At Quantum, we didn't need it to do this, so that's why we had only 3 layers. We have, depending on the years, we never had more than 10 teams. So we didn't need it a secondary coordinating layer. And also one strategic layer was completely enough. Of course, there is no need that every single team is coordinating with all other teams. On some project, usually maximum like a 3 to 4 teams needed to have a closer coordination, but others could know about it. So the transparency here was our friend. Yes. And that the four teams coordinated not on a monthly basis, they coordinated sometimes even on the daily basis on some of the key projects. Yes. Does it answer the question?
Stephanie, does that answer the question? Okay. Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Okay, I think we have time for maybe one more question. Does anyone have any other questions? Either on chat or verbally.
Konrad, I was curious, and now I've kind of forgotten at which level you mentioned it, but you were talking about feedback loops that were kind of very positive and really helpful. I was curious what that looked like. Like who was giving feedback to whom, where it was so successful. Do you remember that being referencing?
Yes. Basically, feedback loops are key on all levels, first of all.
Right. Well, I guess like, and that's kind of what I was hearing. So, I was curious, like, where did that, how did that
Yes.
actually work
So basically,
successfully?
the feedback loops which I was mentioning here were mostly internal. It was not about the feedback loops about the product and about the services they deliver. It was feedback loops mostly about the system we are building internally. This was needed. This is what I mentioned. So I was giving you the examples over here to establish agile interactions about building the coordinating layer. So we were sitting with the same people who were making decisions on the coordinating layer. The decisions were made related to the business, and the measurements were mostly about the feedback from the market and from the customers and how successful the project was. This was something separate. But what I was mentioning here as the key, with the same people, we sit down and think about it. Is the system we're building the right system? Is this helping you to make the right decision? What is missing? Which information we need to add? So basically, building and having internal feedback loop with the people we are building the system. So this was the internal feedback loop retrospective here on the coordinating layer. We had also retrospective on the strategic layer with the people involved. And of course, we seek from feedback from outside, but over here, the feedback from outside was used as an input to make the internal decision how we can change the system, because the people were needed to feel responsible for co-designing the system and feel responsible for the system. System was not given by the leadership or nobody else, so they needed to develop this Kaizen approach. Or sometimes, as I mentioned in the energy crisis, this was the COVID crisis, the energy crisis. We sit down and we find out the system is not working. We need to change the entire system. So this was also the same people, internal people from all the teams. They were like, listen, the system is not working as we want. And they were like, yeah, we agree. Okay, so let's change the system. Who can change the system? Actually, we can change the system. This is our system. so let's change it. Yes. So this was the key part.
Great question. Thank
Yeah.
you, man. And thank you. We're at time. And again, I want to thank Konrad for joining us in presenting this awesome presentation today. Your quick clap there. Thank you for that. Thank you for your flexibility in rescheduling this event as well. And so with that, everyone, please look forward to our next Agile Boston event, which will happen on the fourth week of July. I think it's July 25th at noon. And Konrad, I think at the beginning of your deck there, you had a barcode where people can connect with you. So maybe put that up one more time so people can see that, and take a quick snapshot if you want to reach out to Konrad and follow up with him and ask any additional questions. This particular presentation will also be available on our Agile Boston YouTube channel, just at Agile Boston in YouTube. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and be a member. If you like the content, please hit that like button as many times as you wish. And with that, I want to thank you all for coming today, and we can't wait to see you again.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.